Welcome to Living Unitedly International's next video. Today we are going to talk on the topic. It's a very burning issue that we face in the society, in every family, that is about domestic violence. We'll discuss, again we have our expert advocate Mr. Amol Sutrale, who will throw light on as such what is domestic violence, what is the scope of domestic violence, what are the reasons for domestic violence, and their laws, use, misuse on that. So, Amol, could you please highlight domestic violence, as popularly known in Hindi as Gharelu Hinsa?
Gharelu Hinsa. Now, the word itself, Hinsa, violence. Now, what is violence? Violence is any act which is against a human body, where there is any physical abuse, verbal abuse, mental harassment of any kind. Now in India, after many years of independence, the government thought it proper to introduce the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act. This act was introduced in 2005 and it came in effect from 26th of October 2006. Now, though this is an old barrack, we have to first understand what is the Act itself, what are the statements and objects in the Act. First, let me update all our viewers that as per the Constitution of India, no Act in India can be against the principles laid out in the various articles of the Constitution, namely Article 14, 15 and 21. Article 14 is an article which ensures a right to equality. Today we will discuss here whether our DV Act is anywhere near to its claim. The statements of objects and reasons given in the very first page of this bare Act has a mention of Vienna Accord of 1994 and Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action 1995, the United Nations Committee on Convention of Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women in its General Recommendation of 1989 has recommended that state parties should act to protect women against violence of any kind, especially that occurring within the family. Now believe me, in this entire book, this is the only place where the word family appears. Very strange. There is a mention of Vienna Accord, there is mention of Beijing Declaration, there is a mention of Convention of Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, and surprisingly it does not address a simple fact that in India there are various religions, various customs, various traditions, and it acknowledges the fact that this Vienna Accord and Beijing Declaration, which are nowhere connected to the situation in India, are their source of inspiration to make this act.
So it has come from outside India. The law that has been enacted in India has originated from outside India.
Surprisingly, it states the phenomena of domestic violence is widely prevalent but has remained largely invisible in the public domain. Presently, where a woman is subjected to cruelty by her husband or relatives, it is an offence under section 498A of the Indian Penal Code. The civil law does not, however, address this phenomena in its entirety. I absolutely disagree with this. When the statement of objects and reason is so wrong, how good the act can be? Phenomena of domestic violence is invisible in public domain. I think this is from a stone age. Today we are in the age of media,
where the population is so densely populated.
A cat climbs up a tree and can't come down is a media subject, and the media hampers itself to go and take that news. Can domestic violence be out of public domain?
I mean, this is something is surprising. Absolutely, as you have pointed, we are not aware of this. Domestic violence, especially in city, urban areas where people are staying in such cramped places, it goes unnoticed. It is not possible. It has become a part and parcel of the
The
society.
bigger question here is, my friends, why is this domestic violence in the first place?
Is we would like to know what are the causes actually, what really causes this domestic violence, and how law addresses this. Do they only deal with domestic violence that has occurred, or do they also go into the depth what were the causes of it?
They don't go. Strangely enough, the law doesn't want to dwell into the question of why this domestic violence occurs in the first place. See, the root cause of any problem has to be first eliminated, and then there have to be preventive measures for any law to be successful, effective. Here what we find is, there is an act which suggests that this is the offence, this is the manner in which the offence must have taken place, put that person behind the bar, punish him, and then the law will take its course, and maybe he may be reformed. Any law has to be reformative first. It has to be preventive.
I like to ask, sir, I mean, as a layman, I am not from the legal fraternity, how would you define an act of violence in terms of domestic violence? Is suppose there is a dispute between two individuals. Now the law is, right now what I have heard from you is talking about being from the point of view of a woman point of view. Now, what is the extent if the husband slaps his wife? At the very instance that there is a small dispute between them, does that amount to domestic violence? Can she take her husband to the court and demand something that the provisions of the acts are?
Mr. Mota, you are going a step ahead. Slapping is a step ahead. I'll read out what the act.
Because
once the domestic
violence is something should be physical in nature.
It defines the expression domestic violence to include actual abuse, not only actual abuse, or threat, or abuse that is physical, sexual, verbal, emotional, or economic, harassment by way of unlawful dowry demands to the woman or her relatives would also be covered under this definition. See, we have always been taught there cannot be laws having similar remedies. Where is the necessity of a domestic violence act to cover dowry harassment when, first of all, there is Dowry Prohibition Act, then there is Section 498 of the IPC, and then you introduce one more act as if the two acts are absolutely non-functional. Can the government give a single reason why, when there is a Prohibition of Dowry Act and when there is already Section 498A, what was the need of this act to cover dowry threats? Are you yourself saying that our acts are ineffective?
I would just like to imagine a situation where we are talking about domestic violence. Now, as you have pointed out just now, even a threat or an abuse. Now, remembering my school days where we were in school, and I was very fortunate to have a wonderful school atmosphere where our principal was very strict, and it really helped me to shape my career. And I'm so proud that it's not only me, my colleagues, my school fellows are they are well settled across the globe. And they are all thankful to our principal, to our teachers, and I would like to confess, yes, we were being threatened by our teachers at many occasions. Our principal, when we were wrong, sometimes had even slapped us to bring us back to something that we needed to correct on. Now, in a situation, it is, I would consider my family also as like like a school, where I have learned so much from my parents also. And there was an instance when I was not right, my father had to slap me, bring back to my discipline. Now, in a situation, where in a family, every individual is a component, even the husband, the wife, the child. why a woman is being now treated differently than the other component of the family. Suppose there is an instance where the mother is like, she has lost her temper, she is not able to control, she is beating the child. It's a normal instance. Now, as per the act, now I see there is no remedy for the father who is the responsible person.
No remedy for men whatsoever.
How does he control this situation?
Effectively, under this act, a wife, a woman, is presumed to be above all mistakes. Automatically, it gives an alibi to a woman to do as she pleases with the husband, his parents, his relatives, her in-laws, anybody.
So, doesn't it make the act vulnerable to misuse in that case?
This is the most misused act in the world. In my entire career, I have found only one or two instances of genuine cases under this act. I had a case of a mother who was thrown out by her sons, even when the premises in which she was staying belonged to her. That is domestic violence. That is an actual instance. Now what is happening is, as you said, if the wife is abusive, if the wife is not understanding, caring enough, or is beating the child, if the husband slaps her, she can simply go lodge a complaint and say that my husband slapped me.
And that amounts to domestic violence.
That amounts
and
to
in that the child is not, I've seen a lot of police vans where they are writing for women child protection. So where is this component child? Is it not being covered in the act?
Child is absolutely neglected in this act. Where is the main issue of welfare of the family? That issue is absolutely missing from this act. Welfare of the entire family and the unity of the family ought to have been the prime objective of this act.
So can we say that this is again one of those anti-family law like 498 and another addition to the bag?
I think this law is one of the grossest laws in India, and it should be struck down immediately, or at least it should be given to people who are not, pro-man or pro-woman or pro-family. Because an act which is so discriminative against men cannot handle the situation properly, because any man who is a self-respecting man in India, if his wife goes to a police station and files a normal complaint against him, that complaint is instigated further by the officer, and he says, now you do one thing, you file your case under Domestic Violence Act and your husband will come to senses. That officer or any relative who instigates her doesn't realize that the end of such a complaint is bound to be divorce. There can be no other end to it. Because once in India especially, a wife goes to the police station and brings all her family members, that is her husband and her in-laws, into the police station, even for interrogation, that breaks that fabric. So now, I want to point out a very, very interesting passage. At point number 4, the bill inter alia seeks to provide the following. It covers those women who are or have been in a relationship with the abuser, where both parties have lived together in a shared household and are related by consanguinity, that is by birth, marriage, or through a relationship in the nature of marriage or adoption. Now, can any act, especially in a country which adheres itself to so much to traditions, say that through a relationship in the nature of marriage? What does that mean? It amounts to giving sanctity to a couple who are staying in a live-in relationship.
Which is a very popular concept nowadays. people, youngsters are, they want to choose live-in relationships than to marriages. So
Just tell me, how many young people today want to marry? Today, very few people who are educated and who actually understand what are laws, they want to marry. The reason is this. Earlier, there used to be a sense of responsibility in marriage. Now, marriage has become a kind of a burden. Why is it so? Why should marriage be a burden? When you write down your marriage invitation card, when you prepare it, nobody even presumes that it would end in a divorce. You celebrate in a big fashion. Indian weddings are so popular all over the world. People from abroad, they come to India and celebrate their wedding.
I know a French couple who recently got married in Jaipur. Okay, coming back to again on domestic violence, a thing crosses my mind when I see this. What is the scope of domestic violence? Like I know of place where there is somebody, a lady staying in the society, and she has a habit of every morning she keeps shouting on things. Maybe she's sometimes not happy with her maid, or there is an issue with the child, and the entire society is being disturbed. She shouts aloud, and we all can hear, and now we are so helpless as being neighbors. We can't do anything about it, and we have to live with it. I think her husband has we all feel that a poor fellow, what to do about it. Like he has got used to it, but what is happening is it is leaving a very bad impression on the children staying in the society. They also think that just getting